Vimal, Pradeep.
How can you make this line shorter without touching it? Well, you draw a second line next to it that is longer. My dear fellow Toastmasters and guests, when I was a teenager, my grandma, Mukama, taught me this game of perspective. With a dramatic face, she told me, Vimal, you will find your second line. Just embrace it. It will make every other line look smaller. I said, okay, Grandma, and moved on. Days passed, months passed, years passed. I forgot about it. I became an adult and got married at the age of 24. I was still living in India, and it was an arranged marriage, meaning I did not meet the bride before the wedding. Have you watched on Netflix Indian matchmaking? Everything is true, and it gets worse in reality. But I did not mind at all. In fact, I was looking forward to it. I was the favorite kid of my big, fat Indian family, a top student at school. I was working my dream job with a very good salary. I thought, what's next? Let's get married, make babies, and make India the most populous country in the world. How naive. I was a man boy. I did not know what I wanted out of marriage. I could not fall in love with my wife. We had nothing in common. Our personalities, interests, egos clashed. We disagreed on everything, resulting in fights and tears. Long story short, my marriage was a failure. At the age of 25, I was faced with the biggest crisis of my life. Even though we lived under the same roof, we did not talk to each other. We did not make eye contact with each other. We lived as though there was no other person in the house. I realized that was not the way to live life, and we would be better off living separately. I decided to go for the divorce. When I tried to bring this up with my mother, she wouldn't even listen to me. She told me, I will disown you. What they did not show on Netflix is how difficult it is to get a divorce from an arranged marriage. I was up against my own family, let alone the families of my in-laws. Everybody hated me because my action would bring shame to our families. But I made up my mind, went to court, applied for divorce, and spent a lot of money in addition to the marriage loan I was still paying back to the bank. Have you been broke, isolated, depressed? I was all that. And to make things worse, one day I received the news that my grandma, Mukama, passed away. While I was trying to process her loss, her words kept coming back to me. Vimal, you will find your second line. Just embrace it. It will make every other line look smaller. What I did not understand as a teenager made sense now. I was going through my second line, the darkest phase of my life. If I embraced it and survived it, it will make every other future problem look smaller. Perspective. I felt grateful to my grandma's wise words and told myself, I will get through this. Because what I get out of that is my second line. That will make every other line look smaller. That gave me that extra confidence and motivation I needed. In time, My family came around. The support from my friends and a lot of meditation and medication helped me get through that phase. I got my divorce finally. Even though my 20s was spent on this crisis, I'm glad it gave me my second line. Every time I'm faced with a new challenge, I draw that second line right next to it. It makes the challenge look smaller and solvable and puts a smile on my face. I quit a great job and moved to New York to become an artist right before the pandemic. I drew that second line. Recently, someone stole my heart and broke it into pieces. I drew that second line. Last month, both of my parents got hospitalized for COVID in India. I drew that second line. That second line reminds me that I am strong enough to deal with all the challenges that life throws at me. My dear friends, what is your second line? Please don't divorce your spouse to find it. Just scan through the tough times of your past. Because my grandma, Mukama, would say, you will find your second line. Just embrace it. It will make every other line look smaller. Perspective. Yes, let the tough times of your past inspire you. Draw that second line. Contest chair.
Thank you. We will have 1 minute.